Hey folks, hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the channel. So for tonight's show, this one's going to be we're just going to have fun here tonight. So what we've all done is we picked 10 songs that are kind of dumb, but we still really like them. And we haven't looked at anybody's list, so I have no idea what their picks are. They have no idea what my picks are, but it's all about having fun tonight. Nice way to end off the year. And if I forget to say it later, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year coming up. So anyway, to help me in this endeavor, let me bring on my guests. We got Mr. Martin Popoff, and we got Mr. Pete Pardo. How are you gentlemen doing?
Excellent. Ready for some dumbness.
One of my dumb songs. Dumb songs.
Yeah, so I was talking to Martin earlier, like, what is your criteria for a dumb song? Well, Martin?
Well, I think I have a fair bit of variety here. Typically when I make up these lists, it's like, what are the first ones that come to mind? They kind of got to go on here. I'm thinking of songs that are generally ridiculed out there that I end up liking, or it's got a silly hook, or it's like a little bit way more lighthearted than the rest of the catalog, kind of thing. I don't know, a bunch of things. You'll see sort of some dimensions as we roll along here.
Yeah. What about you, Pete? How did you pick your?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like silly lyrics, dumb lyrics, repetitive choruses, maybe lyrics that don't really mesh with what the band normally does. Maybe there's some stupid sound effects or really lighthearted tone for not a lighthearted band. Really, really overly cliche lyrics, that sort of thing. I mean, it's funny because sometimes when you think of like, and Martin and I have done shows on, like, we call them goofy songs when we did them. And sometimes I don't really like goofy songs by certain bands, but sometimes they're just so lighthearted and silly and dumb that you wind up loving them anyway. So this was interesting, trying to pick out ones that I actually do really like, even though I will readily admit they're pretty damn dumb. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I took all that into consideration. For me, it was almost like dumb and silly, kind of like we're back and forth. And the other thing I took into account sometimes was just the riffs, like the caveman riffs, or cave person. It's politically correct. The riffs, like how dumb the riffs are, and then the lyrics to go with it. Like some of the lyrics, and I'm gonna quote some lyrics that I just laugh out loud hilarious. Like, I can't believe they put that on a record. It's just some of it's just really, really funny. Before we get going, I just want to say hello to a few people here that have joined us. Pooh Ninja, welcome. Roxman Studio, nice to see you. Tyler Patterson, S-Vus GV Carter, welcome. Gary Joyce, nice to see you. There's Joe DeLenza, Marlon Hill. All right, I think I caught everybody. Welcome, everybody. All right, so we'll do two at a time. We'll go, everything's backwards. We'll go Martin, and then we'll go Pete, and then myself. So, and you guys, I didn't rank these guys. I just picked 10. So I don't know if you have a ranking involved with it or what.
Particularly. Actually, mine are all alphabetical order, actually.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, something else I wanted to add is, like, this exercise kind of proved that some bands don't do dumb at all. They don't do silly. They don't do comedy. And then other bands try to do comedy and doesn't really come off. So these are supposed to be songs we like, right? So it's not, if you try to do comedy and you don't end up liking it, it's like, wow, you're a band that's not that good at comedy, I suppose. But okay, so my first choice, I went with Sun Arise from Alice Cooper, Love It to Death. This album cover is so bleak. and the back is cool, but it's like 1970, hang on, 1970, I mean, what, 70, I think it is. And it's just it's kind of a dark album. The production's not very good. It's very basic sort of thing. So it doesn't communicate warmth to you in any ways, but Sunrise is just like this weird kind of campfire song. Sunrise, you know, it's just this weird kind of vocal song, and it's very happy. It's almost like kind of Celtic sounding, or like a Newfoundland song kind of thing. And so it just always stuck out to me. It almost has more hook and memorability than even like I'm 18 off this album. So there you go. That's my first one.
Great song.
Yeah. My second one, I went with Rock and Roll Doctor from Black Sabbath Technical Ecstasy. Everybody makes fun of that song. It's their only boogie rock song. It's considered a silly song. It's considered filler. But this makes a great point to me. When you are a champion of a band or an album, you give them the benefit of the doubt. I've always liked that song and never had any problem with it at all. I do realize it's them doing boogie rock. They never do that, right? But it's cool. I think it's got a really good vocal on it as well. And just for kicks, I wanted to cheat in Air Dance and Breakout from this one as well. They're both considered the low points of Black Sabbath with Ozzy's entire career almost, right? One's like a krautrock instrumental, and the other one's like a krautrock with vocals, like a very weird, spooky, almost like a King Crimson song, right? But they are both considered really, really dumb on an album that's considered dumb by people like the esteemed Pete Pardo. And so they're like the low point on this entire album. But again, because I love this album, I still champion the band. I love the creativity and the weirdness of it. They are dumb songs that I still totally appreciate it as well. So there you go. Had to cheat a couple in there.
I almost picked Rock and Roll Doctor. I almost.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah. It's so funny how Ozzy then went and basically remade it with No Bone Movies. You listen to them back to back.
Yeah,
the same song.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. My first pick today is "Who Are You" by The Who. I tend to find a lot of songs that repeat the same lyric in the chorus over and over and over again is pretty dumb. But I love this song. As dumb as it is, I should hate this song, but I really love it. You know, who are you? Ooh, 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 ooh. I really want to know, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And basically the song is about a drunk waking up in the Soho doorway, policeman bothering him in the middle of the night, whatever. It's kind of ridiculous for The Who. It's not one of Pete's best lyrics, but I always thought it was dumb, but I always loved it anyway. So Who Are You is my first pick. Second, I'm going to go with Robot Man from the Scorpions. To go back to Hack's initial introduction here, you know, the riff is really simple. It's kind of like Chuck Berry-ish. It repeats over and over and over again. And again, you know, I say, ooh, I'm a robot man.
Oh, yeah,
I'm a loser. I lost my mind. That's my mind. That's my life. That's my soul. What is he talking about? I don't know. But it's dumb as all hell, but it's a great, great early Scorpion song. And I love it despite how dumb it is. So, yeah, Robot Man.
Cool.
All right. So my first one is from this album. And it's a Kiss tune, obviously. And this one is, for me, it's got the caveman riff. And the lyrics are absolutely hilarious. And I've talked about this song so much in other places. That's Burn, Bitch, Burn. Come on, man. This song is, I mean, you know, you got Gene at his lyrical best, you know, but this whole song is about a Gene conundrum, right? Because it starts off, and I mean, these are racy lyrics, but I'm sure, you know, coming out of Gene, you know, bend over, baby, let me be the driver. And the most hilarious line, let me put my log in your fireplace. Like, come on. That is just so juvenile and hilarious at the same time. But Gene has a conundrum, because that's what he sings at the beginning of the song. But then at the end of the song, and I got to read this lyric. Your body's condemned and figures don't lie. So now he's not so enamored with whoever he's talking about, and decides that, hey, just burn, bitch, burn. I mean, that's just, you know, the dumbest riff, song, everything. It's like all mashed into one, you know. But I love the track. I love this song. It always makes me laugh. So it's a good one. And the next one is from this record, which I love that record, and it's the first Ted Nugent album I ever bought. And I'm talking about Wango Tango. No idea. I guess it's about a new dance. It's rocking the nation or whatever it is. But the best part, like you could pick 100 Ted Nugent songs. Ted Nugent's fits
Yeah, for
this.
sure.
Wang Dang, sweet. Anyway, but the breakdown when he does that rap, it's hilarious. Getting hot tea, a Maserati. But my favorite line, and this makes me laugh out loud, is when he says, "I'm gonna get a little talcum. I'm gonna borrow it from Malcolm." I mean, come on.
I think he says a bottle of Grey Malcolm.
Sorry.
I think he says I'm gonna get a little talcum and a bottle of Grey Malcolm.
Oh, is it?
I think
I don't
so.
know. I heard it as borrow it from Malcolm. I'm like, who's Malcolm? Malcolm's like, what? You want my talcum?
Either way, it's ridiculous, guys.
It's hilarious. I mean, come on. And the riff is so dumb. It's just da 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 da. Yeah. But despite all that, I still love this song. It makes me laugh. The riff is dumb, but the riff is great. Ted Nugent, man, that guy, he can get away with anything, and he gets away with this. So there you go. There's my first two.
Nice. All right, I got a serious choice here about being silly. So, Pete, you can tune out because we're talking about Clash London Calling, and I'm going with two songs from here. Let's say Train in Vain to begin with. So that's the hidden track. It's kind of very, very melodic and poppy and almost disco-y. But the point is that I think fans were surprised that they liked a really, really commercial and poppy song by the Clash. So sometimes bands will just out of nowhere do something so poppy that you have to. Van Halen Jump's a good example, right? Where you just say, "All right, I surrender." It's a great song. It's I'm shocked that you did it, but it's a great song. And even Lost in the Supermarket from this kind of feels that way as well. And other songs by them, they have a lot of, I mean, Pete, you do make a good point. And I think Jamie says the same thing, right? Who's with us tonight here. Says, I play the Clash, it just sounds like really silly to me, right? Because they just do they do a lot of things that seem kind of silly, right? So yeah, you can think of like Adam Tan or the Magnificent Seven. And I just wanted to mention when I did my top 20 Damned songs for Goldmine, I put Burglar at the top of the list, and people were shocked that I picked that by the Damned. It's a non-LP track, and it's a total kind of cool comedy song. It's really quite funny, and it's heavy too, which I like about it. But it's an amazing, amazing, cool song. So Burglar is another one like that as well. So I just had to throw in a couple cheats there. And then I've got, where is it here? We've got Genesis Whodunit. I did a top 20 silly prog songs for Goldmine that just went up. I don't even know if I put Whodunit on it, but it's a notorious hated Genesis song. It's very silly. It's just very obviously silly. Was it you or was it me? It's got this weird sing-songy Devo-like riff. It's very modernly recorded, but I've always loved it. I've never had any problem with it whatsoever. It's probably in my top third songs on this album. So I have no problem with that. There you go. That's my next two.
All right. What do we got, Pete?
All right. Excuse me if I'm losing my voice. This has been going on for like 2 weeks with me, but hopefully it holds together through the whole show. I initially, when this album first came out, I hated this song because I thought it was dumb and I thought it was lame for them at the time. But over the years, I've grown to really like it. And for some reason, this really dumb song that so many people that I knew were fans of Judas Priest back in the day and even more recent times shouted about how much they thought it was dumb and it was terrible. But man, you know what? It goes over a storm live, and that's Turbo Lover from the Turbo album. It's just a dumb song. It is. Come on, we can all admit it. It's really dumb, but it's fun. It's catchy, and it really works well live. So, yeah, I had to include that in my list. And I actually also had picked Wango Tango, but since Hack covered that so eloquently, I had a runner-up, which I will now talk about, and that is Dr. Steen from Halloween from Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 2. Dr. Steen grows funny creatures, lets them run into the night. They become great rock musicians, and their time is right. The time is right.
Nice.
Okay, is it Dr. Frankenstein? And instead of making Frankenstein creatures, he's making rock musicians. Yeah, whatever. It's dumb. It's the dumbest song on this album, but it's loads of fun. So those are my 2 next picks.
Nice.
All right, cool. Well, I got to throw this band in there. Love them. AC/DC, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap.
Yeah.
Got to talk about big balls.
Yeah.
I mean, Bon is a master at doing this. You know, he starts off this song, he's talking about upper class, high society ballrooms, and all of a sudden it morphs into, you know, him talking about how big his balls are. And then the whole band chimes in and says, "We've got the biggest balls of them all." Come on. That's just hilarious. You know, that twist on the theme. And, you know, Bon is just, you know, he's got tons of those throughout their catalog. So
it's cool music too. It's
yeah,
unlike the Jack, which is just a boring old blues, right?
Blues, yeah.
Big Balls has kind of cool music to it.
Yeah, it does. It does. And this band, there's a lot of songs I could have picked, and it's talking about the Beatles, but off the White Album. Why don't we do it in the road? That's the only lyric. No one will be watching us. That's the other line. And it's just, I don't know. Paul had this, it's just a blues 1-4-5, and it sounds like George is doing a little slide underneath. And it's 2 minutes of him screaming, "Why don't we do it in the road?" There's nothing else. It's just a throwaway song, but it's a really cool groove. So it's still a good song. Doesn't really go anywhere. But, you know, I mean, you could have talked about, I mean, with the Beatles, Yellow Submarine, Octopus's Garden, Oobla Dee Oobla Da. There's a lot of songs like that, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, there you go. So those are my 2.
Nice. All right. My next one, apparently, I do not own a copy of Point of Entry anymore, but Judas Priest Point of Entry, I'm going to go with Don't Go. And I could have gone with You Say Yes, Troubleshooter, Turning Circles. You know, I've kind of gotten into this album a little more over time. But Don't Go was put out as a single, and it annoyed a lot of people. Those other ones are actually worse, so I can't say they're as good. You know, except Turning Circles is actually kind of cool. But You Say Yes and Troubleshooter aren't the greatest. But Don't Go is one that got a lot of abuse. And I actually quite like it, but anything off that album is fair game. I guess the worst one that another dumb song on it is All the Way. That's probably my least favorite on there. So and you know, it all kind of starts. I mean, Turbo Lover for sure. But it all kind of starts with Living After Midnight. I mean, that's the first truly dumb Judas Priest song, I suppose. I mean, people might say Take on the World's a little dumb. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe something on Rock and Roll. I don't know. But yeah, don't go from Point of Entry. And I've got a Kiss choice too, but I have an extra point to make on this. I've gone with Lick It Up. But there's a bookended track that goes with that as well, which is Heaven's on Fire. And I went with these because you know, Kiss's music is all simple anyways, but Lick It Up is just genius simple. It's just so and then the big hanging chord, just the most dullest slow mid-tempo beat. It's just so straight lined. And Heaven's on Fire is kind of the same thing with dance.
The big G chord.
You know, it's just so incredibly simple that. So I wanted to go for something where I was like, you know, everybody accuses their music of being dumb. Well, this is actually even dumber, kind of, but it's also being like simple Kiss, like old day simple Kiss in an era when you're supposed to be much more complicated. And Kiss were complicated. I mean, they played a lot of complicated songs, starting with Creatures of the Night. But here they are, you know, being daring enough in the demanding 80s to play that simple, to play that old simple Kiss style from the 70s. And both of them were a hit. You know, people just couldn't resist them. And I think Lick It Up's probably the best song in that whole album. But it's by no means the smartest or the heaviest, right? It's just a really irresistible but dumb song. So there you go. Don't go and lick it up.
All right. You know, speaking of Judas Priest, the song that always made me laugh was United. You got this menacing verse, and then it's all of a sudden the United, and it becomes Kumbaya. You know, that's always made me laugh.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Pete.
I was going down the track about 105, Trashed by Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Our friend Monty, right? Didn't he say this is like the worst lyric ever to any Black Sabbath song in the history of Black Sabbath? Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's not what you'd expect from Black Sabbath. Here's this crazy song about Mr. Miracle saving her from some pain, and I won't get trashed again. It's basically a night of Ian Gillan drunken debauchery, and very strange for Black Sabbath, but it's a killer song nonetheless. I love it. Next up, we're going to go to Secret Treaties by Blue Oyster Cult for Cagey Cretins. I still don't know what the hell this song is all about. Lonely in Maine, Dumb Clouds, Inflamed Tummy, Eels Waiting Under a Train, Cagey. It's fun. I've grown to appreciate over the years because I used to not like it at all. It used to be the only song on this album I didn't like. But I think it's fun. I have no idea what it's all about. It's just stupid, silly fun. But if anybody knows, let us know, because I don't know what it's all about.
Nice.
All right. So what do I got here next? Well, somebody mentioned The Who. I think, Pete, you mentioned The Who. I'm going to mention The Who again off of a quick one. You know, that John Entwistle and his lamenting about his experience with Boris the Spider. You know,
first ever death metal growl, apparently. That's someone said that recently. Okay.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah, I mean, the song is all bass. It's just him talking about he encounters a spider and eventually the spider's demise, and it's got that, you know, Boris the Spider, and I don't know, just kind of a novelty song, really. That's really what it is. You know, on that record.
Crawly. I think Boris is hanging out with Cagey Cretins a little bit too much.
Maybe. Yeah. All right, and somebody's already mentioned Alice. I'm going to mention Alice as well, off of my favorite Alice record, "Welcome to My Nightmare." You know, this song it's a love song. It's Alice. It's about Alice's affair with a woman named Cold Ethel. You know, they had an affair by the refrigerator light. You know, anyway, the line in this song that absolutely kills me and makes me laugh out loud is when he goes, you know, she's cool in bed. She ought to be, because Ethel's dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's so filled with black humor, you know, like another line, you know, yeah, Cold Ethel, she don't say much, you know. It's just yeah. I don't know. It's like the riff is great, the music is great, and the lyrics and the, you know, the whole story of the song is just absolutely hilarious, right? Yeah. She ought to be, because Ethel's dead. I think that's hilarious. That makes me laugh every time I hear it. But I love the song. It's
a great song.
So nice. There you go. Those are my two.
All right. My next choice is the first song I thought of when you brought up this topic, and that is Rolling Stone's Shattered from Some Girls. I remember hearing this song for the first time, and I just thought it was the funniest thing. It's just such a weird song. The way the vocal works, the little tiny weird guitar riff. It's just such a bizarre song. It's not a particularly Stonesy song, but it's just so charming and cool. And yeah, the lyric, the phrasing Mick does on that is so good. So yeah, I always thought it was quite hilarious. And I had a cheat too. Emotional Rescue is a really silly song on the next album, and I think it's pretty good. Do you know, with a little drum beat and stuff, a little weird kind of reggae sound. So yeah, they have quite a few kind of silly songs, right? And one that is actually exactly like the Stones sound. Like I did a History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff episode where I was like looking for the Stone sound, and I picked out the quintessential song being She's So Cold, but it's also a very silly song because it's just so modestly recorded and played. It's just they're just like being really kind of goofy and like modest almost in sometimes in what they do with their production.
I almost picked Dead Flowers, Mark.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dead Flowers.
Yeah.
Well, I got a similar pick later for the Dead Flowers reason. I think that you're gonna make a connection with. But so that's my first one, and my second one is Having a Good Time from Thin Lizzy Chinatown. Everybody craps all over this song all the time, thinking it's just way too cheerful and really going for that boys are back in town sort of thing. But I've never had a problem with it. I always liked it. It is definitely a very cheery sort of song. Maybe it's a little phoned in kind of thing. You get the feeling a little bit that he's lacking for ideas. But yeah, I always thought it was a good song, infectious enough. But there you go. That's my next two.
All right, Pete.
All right, leave it up to the guys from Scotland to write a pretty silly and hilarious song about a woman who outdrinks her man by miles, has whiskey bottles all around the house, and drinks the guy out of house and home, the poor guy, whiskey drinking woman from Nazareth.
Yeah.
Great, heavy bluesy song, but man, the lyrics are absolutely dumb. I mean, it's got to be the first time in history where it's coming from the guy's point of view, right? Where he's complaining about his woman who drinks him out of house and home, right? I guess. I don't know. Next up, I'm going to go with Crusader by Saxon.
Oh, yeah. So
blatantly 80s heavy metal cliche, Crusader, the Lord of the Realm, fighting the good fight, believe in what is right. Yeah. I mean, this is as bad as some of the stuff that Man of War was doing, but it's still gloriously goofy, and I love it. Crusader from Saxon, title track.
Yeah. Kind of weird, like Nazareth's got that song, and you've got Judas Priest, Whiskey Woman, don't you know? And it's like they're kind of related bands a little bit, right?
Pretty much, right? Yeah.
So, yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Cool.
All right, this next band could be considered silly for a few things. Talking about Devo. But the song that I'm going to mention is off of that record, Are We Not Men? And I always thought this song was funny when I heard it as a kid. And I'm talking about Mongoloid. First of all, it's odd to sing about somebody from that part of the world, but what kills me is it's the lyrics, where it's like don't war I had, and he don't had a job, and he don't brought home the bacon, and he done so that no one knew what, that he was a mongoloid. Like it's just odd, it's weird, it doesn't make any sense, then the music's kind of funny, and it's just but they've got a lot. I mean, Jocko Homo. I mean, that there's all kinds of songs. They Whip It. I mean, they got a lot of weird stuff like that. I just thought that song was always funny. Wore a hat. Had a job. Shit makes me laugh. I don't know. Anyway, the other one and this is a fantastic song. Love this song. Talking about ZZ Top. TV Dinners. Oh, yeah. What an amazing groove that is, right? Just a fantastic groove, just the coolest groove, catchy as hell. But they're singing about TV dinners, 20-year-old turkey and a 30-year tin, sounds delicious, And then if you watch the video, there's like a gremlin or a cretin climbing out of the TV dinner tray, whatever. I mean, just an odd thing to sing about, but an absolutely killer song. Probably one of my favorite songs on that because it never got overplayed like the other ones did.
One of the few.
Yeah, but a really killer track, and there you go. Those are my two.
Nice. All right. So my second to last one, I had a hard time finding a Frank Zappa song that felt like it belonged, because just him doing his typical comedy with the really great musicianship and production and great guitar solos and singing and all that. I had to rule out things like Disco Boy and Dancing Fool, but I think he has one silly song, and that's Valley Girl from Here with his daughter singing on a completely uncharacteristic. You mentioned before caveman. It's got this caveman riff and caveman drumming. Sounds nothing like Frank Zappa music. So it's kind of an instrumental with talking on top of it, and it's his daughter. So there's layers of silliness to that I don't think you could say are part of his 2, 3, 4 dozen songs that are truly just comedy songs, right? So yeah, that I think is a silly song. So I'm going to go with that, and I love it. I love that he did something that heavy. That was very cool. And then for my Rolling Stones Dead Flowers connection, I'm going with She's a Heartbreaker from Tejas.
Yeah.
So hearing ZZ Top do like total country, it's kind of like Led Zeppelin Hot Dog, I suppose, a little bit, right? So hearing them just do this really straight country with a really sort of redneck vocal and slide guitar and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you could pick a lot of ZZ Top songs, but I think this one is just silly because it's so incredibly country. But yeah, I also thought of things like Groovy Little Hippie Pad, Party on the Patio, later on Liquor, which is an amazing song. Actually, it's a little bit like Anyone's Daughter too, right? You could have picked Anyone's Daughter from Deep Purple for the same reason, right? Although they would have been more like making a joke out of it. ZZ Top is much more adjacent to country anyways, right? They're almost being respectful of it in a way, but it sounds like a really funny kind of country song as well, right? I think it's got violin in it too, or fiddle, I should say, right? Later on in the song too. So there you go. Frank Zappa and ZZ Top for the end of my alphabetical list.
All right. It ends with a Z. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you got, Pete?
All right. This song is pretty much hated and despised by so many Iron Maiden fans. And quite frankly, I never really disliked it all that much. Maybe because I've always been a fan of dinosaurs and prehistoric this and that. Quest for Fire by Iron Maiden from the Peace of Mind album. Yeah, it's a goofy song about early man. It's not really their best lyric ever, but and it's probably the worst song on the album. But still, I don't mind it. I kind of stick up for it, so I don't mind it too much. Quest for Fire. And last but certainly not least, thank you very much, Mr. Roboto Domo.
Yeah.
I've kind of grown pretty fond of this song in a weird way. I know I shouldn't. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's the ultimate in 80s cheese, and it's probably from one of the worst Styx album of all time. But there's some good songs on here. But I don't know. There's something about it that just maybe it's just grown on me over the years because I used to not like this album at all, and I used to crap all over this. And I'm a big Styx fan, but I don't mind Mr. Roboto at all anymore. And it's dumb. It might be the dumbest song on my entire list. But you know what? In this case, dumb is okay. Cheesy but good.
Nice.
Cheesy but good. All right. Okay. So this band, there's a few I could have picked. I'm talking about Queen, and this is off A Night at the Opera. And I don't know. I'm in love with my car.
Why not?
I mean, I like my car too, but this is a little bit over the top, But the best line in the whole song is, tell my girl I have to forget her, had to buy me a new carburetor.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got a thing for my automobile, right?
Yes. That's right. I have a feel for my automobile. Yeah, the music is great. The music is great, but the lyric and he could have written about anything, but really likes his car. So there you go.
I didn't go there, but there's lots of Queen songs that could fit.
Oh, Fat Bottom Girls, Tie Your Mother Down. What's that about?
I had Radio Gaga and Mustafa as honorable.
Yeah, Radio Gaga. Yeah, there you could have done quite a few. Yeah. Lots of picks there. And actually, Martin, you just mentioned this. Led Zeppelin, In Through the Outdoor, Hot Dog. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking that is just a pure send up. It's got to be. I don't think they were really trying to do a really legitimate. I think they were just playing around. I mean, it's got all the keys of a typical country song. There's a line that says, she took my keys from my dungarees. There's a mention of a pickup truck in there somewhere. I just think this song is great parody. And I love Plant's delivery, the way he sings it and kind of sends it up. I don't know. people hate that song off of that record. I kind of like it. I like it because it's played really, really well. And I love Page's kind of real sloppy kind of, but getting there still riffing on that, you know. It's very, very cool. Very, very cool.
Nice.
But there you go. All right. We got any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I'll rattle off a few here. I had Focus, Hocus Pocus.
Yeah. I had that one.
Hawkwind, Cork, Strangeness and Charm, King Crimson Cat Food, Led Zeppelin, The Crunge, Max Webster, A Million Vacations, Rush, I Think I'm Going Bald, also in the mood, Stars, Cherry Baby, and Van Halen, Loss of Control.
Yeah. You got any honorables, Pete?
No, mine have already been mentioned, so it's no more for me.
All right. Well, the only I was gonna mention was another band that I love, and off my favorite record, The Police, Señora Mondada, da do do do,
Da da
da da da da. You know, and the line before that is, you know, my eloquence escapes me. I mean, it sounds like he's got some pretty good language there, but blanks out when it comes to the chorus. That's all I have to say to you is do 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 da 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 da. You know? So I thought that was pretty funny too. So yeah, fun show. That was a fun show.
Oh, all right. One I just thought of, Spit It Out by Whitesnake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, just spit it out. Okay, Dave.
Yeah. Well, there's a Ted Nugent song called Spit It Out too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All righty. So what's coming up for you guys, Martin? Any books?
Well, let's see. So yeah, there's still the audio podcast every single week, History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff. I love this week's episode. It's all about demons ruling the year 1974. Punk happened because of all the big bands screwing up in 1974. So it's kind of a conspiracy theory about how that's just a really bad time in rock and roll history. And we just did our Contrarians album cover show. I'm still doing all of that series of reliving old reviews as a useless tool of confusion. So still doing a lot of those. I got a new series coming up that Marco's just finishing off now that I'm going to do called Who Invented Heavy Metal. And books wise, martinpopoff.com for the books. The most recent was the Judas Priest album by album panel book and the 2 Genesis panel books. But yeah, lots of anything you see there in print, sign them, send them out from the office, PayPal buttons, all that kind of stuff.
And links to Martin's Contrarians and Martin for his books is below. What about yourself, Pete?
Well, it's kind of end of the year, so we're kind of taking it a little bit easy for the next couple of weeks. But I do have my top 50 albums of 2024 show coming up probably on Monday. So that's coming up in a couple of days. Martin and I will actually be back tomorrow morning to talk about our 10 favorite Aerosmith songs. So that's happening tomorrow.
From the 90s forward, right? Remember?
Oh, is that what we decided to do?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good luck.
I've already done it. It was tough. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I got to redo my list. I missed that last part.
Pump and before do not count. Yeah.
Slim pickings.
My God. All right. I got homework to do then. All right. So yeah.
And it's only 10. We're going 10 each.
God, thank God. I'll struggle to find even 10, but yeah. Okay. I'll do that. And what else? And we have our final In the Prague Seat episode coming up on Tuesday as well. So that's basically, it's just kind of wrapping up the year stuff and getting ready for 2025. So
cool. And link to Sea Tranquility, which I'm sure most of you folks watching this are probably from, so you're well aware, but if you're not, the link is below. So I want to thank these gentlemen for another year of shows. You guys are awesome. You guys make my channel what it is. Really appreciate it. I want to thank everybody watching. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I'm trying to get to 5,000. I'm about 400 away. So your subscription would be really cool. And it doesn't cost a dime. So there you go. And if you want to help the channel, the links are below. All right, guys, hang on for a minute. Okay, folks, Happy New Year.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays. We will see you all next year. Take care. Bye-bye.